excited about today's conversation because SEO is one of those things we all know we should be doing, but honestly, most of us are either overwhelmed by it or we're doing what worked 5 years ago and hoping for the best. Katherine is an SEO expert who works with wedding suppliers, so she actually gets our world. She even used to be in it. This is a conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to The Unfiltered Lens, a podcast for creative wedding suppliers finding their way in business, online and everything in between. No pressure, no pretending. I'm Gina Fernandez, a photographer, filmmaker and work in progress, just like you. Here we mix strategy, stories and the stuff no one usually says out loud. If you're into real talk without the fluff, you're in the right place. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No, it's fantastic. Where are you right now?
I'm in Athens at the moment.
Bloody.
As you know, we do move a lot, but my husband's actually doing flight school here, so we're just here for like a few months. And for me, it's great. I'm just bopping around with my laptop in all the lovely cafes, looking at the Acropolis, so loving life.
Oh my gosh. And what are you, an hour difference? Are you an hour ahead?
2 hours, actually.
2 hours in Greece.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
This is midday for you, bloody hell.
It is. But it's been a lot worse. I've been in worse time zones.
Yeah, absolutely. Where were you prior to Athens? Did you come back to the UK for a bit?
Yeah, for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
We were actually in the Netherlands. My husband's Dutch, so we spent
Right.
quite a lot of time there. And before that, Thailand. So we've moved quite a bit.
You have, haven't you? And I follow you on Instagram and I'm checking where you are. Where are you going next? Do you know yet? Or you just see how this goes?
We're just going to have to see. We might go back to the Netherlands for the summer because it's going to get so hot here, like 40 degrees or something. And that's just not for me. So I think we'll escape that and then maybe come back in the late summer or autumn.
And then Bali and Thailand, is that chapter sort of done now, or is that still on the cards?
Yeah, I think it's probably done for the time being, but
okay,
we'd always happily go back. You know, we'll never be completely done with it. But we're on to different things now, and life goes on, doesn't it? So
amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool because actually while we're talking about it, why don't you tell us what you actually do?
That would be a good place to start, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Tell us about yourself.
Okay.
And tell everyone why I'm asking you where you are in the world.
Okay, so I do editorial SEO. I work with wedding professionals to help them get found and booked via Google, and also nowadays AI search as well.
Okay.
And I focus mainly on what's on the page rather than the kind of techie, boring behind the scenes bit. And the reason that you are asking me where I am is that I'm kind of I guess you would say, digital nomad. Kind of hate that term, but
no, I
I'm
like
going to go with it. So yeah, me and my partner, we travel around a lot, and me and my laptop just go wherever the wind takes us, really. And during the summer, I still do wedding season. I do wedding day assistance all throughout Europe. So I'm kind of on location for a few months now. But in the winter, we find the sunniest, most far-flung place we can and run away.
Amazing. And you can do that, can't you, with what you do with SEO and copywriting? Is it copywriting?
There is an element of copywriting, yeah. I would say blogs is the main thing that I actually write. That's where most of the copy goes. But I do deal with the whole website as well.
Perfect. And then, so that's a nice thing you can do remotely. Perfect.
It is. I'm very grateful for it, yeah.
What did you used to do? Because I've known you for a number of years now. Fun fact, Katherine used to do my blogging.
I did.
It was fun times. Times. But yeah, because we've known each other for a long time. And I remember you being like a stylist, planner.
So that's where it all began back in 2018. I had this grand idea that I was going to be a wedding planner. And then 2020 rolled around, and as we know, things didn't quite go to plan with the wedding industry. And I also realized it was just not for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I morphed into my business used to be called the Wedding Industry PA. You might remember
Oh,
that.
yes, 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 I do.
And I think that's
Yeah.
when we started working together.
Yes. Yeah.
So then I was doing all sorts. I was doing VA, I was doing social media, blogging, literally anything that anybody wanted, basically.
Yeah.
And over time, it's just evolved, and I've got more specialized down the blogging and SEO route, and that's what I really love. So it's finally landed on Sunshine SEO Studio, and here we are.
Perfect. You're very good at it, to be honest. So
Oh,
yeah.
thanks, Gina.
So I can totally see why you pivoted into that space. I really want to pick your brains about SEO and AI today. And I know that recently I posted in my story about, do we even need a bloody website for fuck's sake? You know, because I was having a right. And you were like, Gina. I was like,
Gina,
oh,
stop.
shit. And actually, in fairness, so many people are like, Gina, what if social media went tomorrow? What would you do? So I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, totally forgot about that. So I know we started having a conversation, and I thought it'd be great to have you on here to talk more about it, because you're very like pro having a website, and it turned out that from the comments that I was receiving, so many people are. I think I was just chucking my toys out the pram because it's just so expensive, and I suppose I get frustrated when I get clients who do come through to me via Instagram. It is my main source or my main lead inquiry, and I'm like, they've not read my bloody website. What's the bloody point? So I was just having an absolute hissy fit. But I obviously understand about, there's touch points. They're not just looking at it. They would have skimmed it. They would have got the gist of it. And it's a shop front, essentially, So we all need a little shop. So, yeah.
I think there is that element of it. And I think it's difficult when people say, I found you via this, or I found you via this. That might be where they remember that they found you, but actually they've probably gone through a lot of other channels as well. And even if they did find you on Instagram, they've probably Googled you, and they've probably looked, even if they've not read every word, which can be frustrating, they probably have checked, because they're looking for signs of, are you legit? Are you trustworthy? Are you really the right fit? Because there's so much that you can't trust on social media nowadays as well. So I think people are smart enough to know that they have to verify. So yeah, there's that, as well as the what if social media went tomorrow argument. Yeah,
as well. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely spot on. I was just having a hissy fit. It must have been.
Completely understand.
Must have been a full moon, which is what I blame a lot of. If I'm tired, it must be a full moon. If I'm having a rant.
I'm going to start using that one. I love it.
Cyclical living and all of that, So something that I also have been thinking about a lot lately is when a couple is looking for a wedding photographer. Yeah, let's start with wedding photographer, because I think that's the majority of the audience of this podcast, though I do know there's a lot of you out there who are not doing wedding photography. But a wedding supplier in 2026. What are they actually typing into Google? Because I have a feeling it's not what we think it is. And I think it's changed a lot since 2020.
I would completely agree with you on that. It has changed in a few ways. And I think one thing that comes up a lot is how much more conversational it is now, the way that people search.
Okay.
Rather than like broad, keywordy kind of terms, I think people are almost trying to tell a bit of a descriptive story with their search behavior. And it's in part just because people are wanting something so much more specific, like they really know what they're looking for, and they're adding so many more layers to that search. So instead of just wedding photographer in Athens, they might be looking for a specific, something like documentary style wedding photography in Santorini. They're getting really granular with it.
Right.
And I think it's the specificity, the conversationalism, and in that way, search on Google has adapted in line with those more kind of natural language queries. So they kind of reflect back on each other. And it's also a bit the influence of AI, right? Because if we've all spent a bit of time in ChatGPT or whoever our favorite is, the way that you speak to them is very different from the way that you search in Google. And you're probably going to tell this whole lovely story about your wedding and what it is you're looking for. I'm getting married here on this date, and it's this kind of venue, and my dress is like this, and I want someone who, and you tell this whole story. And I think that is
Wow.
feeding back into the Google search as well.
Because I'll admit, I actually don't use Google. I don't think I've used Google in about 6 months to search for anything. Even shopping for a product, I'm using AI.
It's so interesting, isn't it? And I think this is a thing. I think people are worried. They're looking at their own behavior and they're saying, well, I don't use it anymore, so my clients don't use it anymore, so what's the point? And to that, I would say you can and do get found in AI when people are searching in that way. But in order to do that, your SEO has to be good first.
Right.
Because AI is just pulling from what's on your website. So it needs that foundation. And also, we can talk a bit more about the way that needs to look as well, because AI kind of searches for info differently than Google does.
Okay.
But I just also wanted to mention there are some stats now about how people are searching. So Gen Z, that's who's coming through now, right? That's the kind of wedding planning crowd, and probably will be for about the next 10 years, if I've got my calculations right. Over 50% of them are using AI to search for their suppliers in some way.
Right. Okay.
So it's very important. But then on the other side of that, there are stats to show that people who are planning weddings with like an ultra luxury budget, 80% of them are still using Google to find their suppliers.
Like the old fashioned way that,
ex
documentary photography in Rutland, that sort of.
Exactly.
Right.
So I think it's important to cover all bases rather than just think one is replacing the other. I think we've just got to be smarter and more strategic about that.
Do you think that's also linked to, I know you've got the generational thing. So you're saying Gen Z are using AI possibly conversationally and to search, but the ones at the high end of the budget are using Google. Is the high end budget also linked to being in the millennial category? So they're older?
I don't think necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, it might be, but I think that Gen Z, younger people, are still having ultra luxury weddings, and that's still happening in the industry. I see it every day. It's not the case of there's like an age divide and a budget divide.
Okay.
I think it covers all bases.
Yeah, because one thing I sort of also throw my toys out of the pram about is so much online is about Gen Z and what they're looking for. And in my mind, when I look at my own demographic and who I'm attracting, they're still very much 35 onwards, in which case, and to me, I'm thinking, well, Gen Z have only just entered this. They're very young and in the market, and they're only just starting to buy. So how can we actually accurately assess their buying behavior when we've not given them enough time to be in the market and show that? And therefore, I'm just wondering now, if you're spending more and you're more likely to use Google to search, is that also because you're older, you're earning more, and you're using old behavior in using Google to find things? I'm just wondering if there's some sort of link there.
Yeah, I'm sure there is in part some connection, but I mean, I work with a lot of wedding planners. I do wedding day assistance with them, and often they're in a kind of the higher end of the market.
Yes,
their clients are not necessarily in their 30s. They have Gen Z clients. Maybe their parents are paying, or maybe sometimes they're paying themselves. I don't,
of course,
want to cast judgments on that, but I don't think there's necessarily the kind of divide that you might imagine. And I think it's important, as you said, to know your own demographic and who are they, and then focus your efforts in both places. But having said that, the root of it all is still good SEO, whether it's AI or on your website or whatever it is. Good SEO is still the foundation. So luckily, that's not changed.
Okay, that's good to know. No, that's really interesting, actually. Have you seen I I no longer use WordPress. I do use Squarespace, but Squarespace have got this beta AI search thing. Have you seen? Oh, she's shaking her head.
I haven't actually seen it, and I'm thinking I don't want to.
So what it does, it assesses how AI is viewing your website, and you can see how you show up for certain phrases.
Yeah.
And it was showing me how I'm showing up for certain phrases, but it was categorizing some as branded content and some as non-branded content. But
Okay.
I couldn't find out what that actually meant. I think I've worked it out, where branded is coming directly from your websites, whereas non-branded could be is coming from a different source
Yeah, that makes
to
sense. Yeah.
qualify what the search term is. But you can plug in your own phrases and see how you show up, how your website
Yeah.
shows up in AI. But I thought that was an interesting tool. I didn't know if you had experience with that.
Yeah, I haven't had with that specific one, but I
Right.
have trialed it in AI, ChatGPT, where
Yeah.
I have asked it, this is a wedding supplier, tell me what you know about them.
Okay.
And then you can do this with your own business. You can literally go
Yeah.
and say, this is my brand name, tell me what you know. And then you can understand exactly how it's categorizing you, how it's contextualizing you. And then you can start to feel out where are the gaps, and then think about what you need to do on your website to fill them. It's a fun
That's interesting
exercise,
task.
actually.
Yeah, that is, isn't it? And is there a lag? Is it live information, or is it based on something that might be on your website 2 months ago and it's not? And if you've updated it recently, it won't account for it. Do you know about if there's a
Um,
lag there?
what I would say is that's probably to do with how often you submit your
Oh, sitemap.
sitemaps and
Yeah.
indexing and things like that. I know
Right.
that's for
Okay.
Google, but I think that's the kind of thing that makes your the content widely available for all these different models to pull from.
So that's really interesting. So if we go back to just a bit more about the way in which AI is being used, because I've also noticed on Google, when you search for something, it comes up with your AI
Yeah,
paragraph, doesn't
it
it? It's
does.
the summary of. So if people are being conversational, is they're going to see that first, and it'll
Yeah.
lead them off somewhere, right? So I'm just wondering, if this search behavior is shifting this much, are there some of us doing things that made sense like 3 years ago, but they don't now? I mean, what are we getting wrong?
I would say, yeah, there's a few elements to this, and I think one thing that I see often that people are still getting kind of stuck on is this traditional keyword um, approach.
Right.
And I think keywords are still important, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying we should just scrap it. But I boldly told all my email followers recently I am deleting my keyword tools because
Right.
they're almost doing too much. And I honestly believe that you, as a wedding supplier, you know more about what your couples, with common sense, you know more about what they're
Hmm.
searching for. You are a human, you know how to search humanly. You can figure that out a lot better than these tools can do. That might be controversial, and there'll be a lot of people that will disagree with me, and that's fine. But when I work with my clients, I don't spend hours trawling through keyword tools and how much volume have they got and what's the this and that, because
Okay.
the difference it makes is not big enough.
Right.
The wedding industry is a human-led industry, and we, in this age of robots, I honestly believe that we know better. Um,
Right.
so I think that's one thing. And another thing is not thinking about the intent of what people are looking for when they come to your website. I think that's a big thing that we get wrong. So if
Okay.
somebody is searching a specific question, maybe it's about wedding venues in a specific place, think what are they looking for? They're not looking for just a list with some photos. They want information. They want to know, how many people can I have at this wedding? How do I visualize my wedding in this place? And I think if you miss the search intent, however hard you've worked on the keyword and however pretty it looks, you're going to miss the keeping people on the page and taking them through to the next next stage of booking or interest or whatever that might be.
And what I've noticed in my insights is that which blogs are now performing. So I get a lot of visitors from a specific blog which answers a question, and I can only put that down to AI, that someone has typed this into this specific question into AI and my blog is coming up because it gets so many hits. This is a blog I wrote about 4 years ago. And at the time of publishing, barely got anything because I think it was there was no like specific keyword, I suppose, to bring it in. So the blog is what you do once you're engaged. So someone's got engaged, they're like, oh, what do I do now? They're typing that into ChatGPT, aren't they? Rather than searching through trawls of Pinterest and trying to find checklists. And I think my blog's getting a lot of traction with that. My issue is, go on, what were you going to say?
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that's a really good testament to the change in search behaviour over the last 4 years.
Right? Yeah, that's it. So I was like, oh, that is definitely those advice-y based blog, the what information can you give them? But my issue is, I suppose, and it's probably something that I really need to learn to tweak, is providing this information to someone who's searching, let's say, a beautiful wedding at X venue, and my blog just happens to answer all those questions. The venue's not doing it, but my blog is, right? They take that information, they go, they search, they do their wedding planning. But in terms of photography, I'm now forgotten, because actually what they really needed to know was about the venue, about what it might look like, about the time of year. And as they go down, they're just at the start of their wedding planning journey. And as they carry on, they've totally forgotten about where they got that information from and who that photographer was. And I don't know. I've always got a question mark over how much value should we be giving, because how much of it actually converts into a booking.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got a little hack for this that I always tell my clients. So what I always say, the more specific you can be, the better.
Right.
And if you can take a blog from your website and you could pick that blog up and put it on somebody else's website without changing anything, it's not specific enough.
Okay.
So what I would say is, if all you've done is give the venue information, that could be lifted and put on a florist's page or a wedding planner's page. It's got really nothing to do with you. So what you need to do all the way through is give lots of signals about how that pertains to you and how you can help them in this thing as well. And it can be as simple as just going back and doing some updates. For a photographer, for example, this is the venue, this is the information, this is my favourite photo spot at this venue and why. And here's a photo I've taken there. And just pulling it back to you all the time to remind them it's about you in relation to these venues, not just about the venues.
That's a really good tip, actually. It's a really good tip. And it's great for other photographers who visit the website and go, what's this venue like? Oh, Gina's shot there. That's where she does her photo spots.
But that's always a risk, isn't it? With anything that you put out there. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I do wonder if actually things like when TikTok started becoming, one of the biggest search engines, and that was all advice-based or value-based content that was pushing it towards that. So people were, even I will go on and go, right, I'm going to London, where's the best restaurant to eat? And I will watch people's TikToks and make a note of where the places are. So I suppose, and that's now across the board, really, isn't it, in terms of what you're writing on your website to get eyes on it. Yeah. So if someone had just a couple of hours a week to spend on SEO, what should they then actually be prioritizing?
I would say the first thing to prioritize is your homepage. Just have a look on there. Do you actually say who you are, what you do, where you do it, and who you do it for? Because you'd be surprised how often that is missing. And we only get into that in the services page or later. Right. And you need to be explicit about that, especially for AI search, because AI is very lazy in how it accumulates information. Google can infer. So if you have gone around it a little bit, but you've kind of implied it, Google will be like, okay, I've got it now. The algorithm's smart. AI is very lazy, and unless you spell it out, it's going to miss it. So I would say homepage, explicitly state that information.
So it's really about being really specific, right? So like a business card
Almost, yeah.
to the point.
But
Okay.
I always say there is a balance, because obviously the wedding industry, people are worried, I've got all this beautiful website copy. Is SEO going to ruin it? And especially with this new AI, are we going to make it sound too robotic and it's not going to
Hmm.
attract couples? There's a fine line, right? We don't want it to
Okay.
be too businesslike and just written for the robots, but
Hmm.
we need to be clear about it. I think clear and specific without losing the kind of charm that we're trying to get across. It's interesting. I've seen a few people talking about adding a new page to your website that only AI, it's just for AI.
Right.
I'd like to say that I don't agree with this before I continue.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's basically just a blank page with a load of text that just tells AI, this person does this, 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 this. It's like a list of facts.
Okay.
And then you sort of like hide it in the footer or something like that.
Oh, this is just like another version of keyword stuffing, right?
Exactly. This reminds me of put keywords on your page and then color them the same color as the background. Do you remember?
Yes.
That's just that. This is just that for 2026.
Oh, and on Instagram, it was put the hashtags in your story, but move them right
Oh
off the
God.
screen so no one can see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you know if that's working though? I mean, I bet it is at the beginning, but it'll soon
I
stop
would
working,
say
surely.
the difference that it will make is so minor that instead of putting time into that, you can better put time
Right.
into things that will move the needle more.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. It's quite intriguing actually because there's this specificity, that word,
yeah.
but also this conversationalist aspect. So would you then say website is a place to be specific? So your service pages and all the rest of it, and then your blogs are hitting the conversation, or should we still be trying to do both at the same time? And then my other question is, when AI is looking, is it actually looking at the whole website, or is it focusing on one page? Because you made it very clear homepage should be quite specific. So
Yeah. So what AI will do is it will try to pull first from the homepage, because that's the
right, okay,
the first
yep,
thing, but it is
yep,
definitely looking at the whole website.
right,
And I know this because in my clients' analytics, I can see that they're getting traffic from ChatGPT, for example, and I can
right,
see that's coming via blogs. It's pulling information.
right,
For example, I was doing a blog update for a client recently, and this is actually another very, if you're short on time, instead of writing new
yeah,
content, just update your old content. That's a big win.
right, okay,
I was doing a blog update, and she's got this blog. She's a wedding planner, and it's about symbolic wedding ceremonies.
hmm,
This blog brings her loads of traffic because people are searching for it all the time. Um, and when I look, if you just Google symbolic wedding ceremonies, she comes up in the AI summary
oh, okay, yep,
because of that blog.
right, okay,
So we know that they are looking at the whole website. It's
right,
just that home pages tend to have the most basic information about what people want.
yeah,
To answer your other question, I would agree with what you said. I would homepage, about page, services page, get to the point. What are people looking for on there? And when I say get to the point, I don't mean in a mechanical
hmm,
way, but you need to give people the information they're looking for.
right,
You can go into so much more depth and detail and go down the layers in your blog, and that's what I
okay,
would encourage. And specificity can also just be specificity, and conversationalism can be one and the same.
hmm,
I don't necessarily mean specificity in a robotic kind of way. If you were asking for fine art wedding photography at this venue in summer, that's a very specific
hmm,
conversational question,
right,
um, and things like that. So I always say, if you're thinking about a blog topic, interrogate that topic like a 2-year-old. So you've got the topic, but why, but why, but why, and go deeper, deeper, deeper until you've hit on something that you think no one else has written this blog because it's so
Right.
wildly specific. They're the ones that are going to really do the work for you.
Where does backlinks and domain authority, is that do we still need to give weight to that? Does for AI or?
It's still important, yes.
Okay.
It's not the be all and end all in terms of backlinks above everything else, because that was also a thing in the SEO world for a while,
Yes. Yeah.
buying backlinks and all that kind of thing. Basically, what Google and AI are looking for are signals that you are trustworthy and reputable, and
Right.
that you really do what you say that you do. So backlinks help with that. If you're listed on a venue's website, you can see, Google and AI can see there's really a connection there. They're not
Okay.
just saying it.
Okay.
But the quality of those backlinks is more important than the quantity. And you mentioned domain authority there. So that's just for the benefit of anybody who doesn't know. It's like a score that is given to your website that tells you how good you are in Google's eyes, basically, how good your kind of SEO is. Some people will try to only get backlinks that are above a certain domain authority. In the wedding industry, you can expect domain authorities to be lower because we're mostly smaller businesses, we're independent. We don't have these big giant websites that are getting hundreds of thousands of visits every month and have, huge connections all over the web. That's just not how it works in the wedding industry. So I would say don't get too hung up on it.
Okay. So just going back to AI for a moment, you were saying about taking a topic and really drilling down, trying to find out how to be more specific or what someone would be typing in around this topic. For keywords, we have tools like Ubersuggest and what people ask. Is there something similar out there for AI so we can see the conversational based queries people are putting into it? Have we got that yet?
If we have, I haven't found it.
Right. Because I'm long since planning a wedding, and sometimes it can be when you've been in it a long time and you're already married, it can be really difficult to go back to that point
Yeah.
and put yourself back in the shoes of someone who is searching for and come up with that conversational phrase they're putting in.
Yeah, and I can understand that. What I would say in that situation, if you did want to get some prompts,
Yeah.
I think if you want to use a keyword tool to kind of spark that, the information that AI uses is coming from the same place as the information that Google uses. So
Right.
rather than thinking about it as two separate strategies, I would,
Okay.
if you want to use that keyword tool, spark some inspiration for that. There's also what's really good is, if you Google something and then you scroll down, you get people also ask.
Yes. Yeah.
They tend to be more conversational, longer
Okay.
keywords. And if all else fails, you can just ask ChatGPT.
I did wonder if I could just ask AI, what are people saying or what are people asking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it knows what it knows. So if
Right.
you ask it the right questions, it will give you something. I would just say be very wary of trying to use AI for specific keyword data because it's making it up.
Oh,
Um,
right. Okay.
and it does hallucinate things, and it does pretend it knows the answer just to tell you something often. So I would take it with a pinch of salt, and I would just use it as an inspiration, spark ideas. I wouldn't use it as the keyword Bible.
Gospel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it says it right at the bottom. We can make mistakes, right? I got it to write me an email the other day, and halfway through the email, there was some sort of different foreign language script. It's just, I was like, excuse me, what is this? And then I asked it a question the other day, and it just gave me a conversation between two people. It just random conversation between two people
How
who were
bizarre.
playing a game. And I was like, where is it picking this up? where has it got this from? It's so weird. I'm like, oh, there's a glitch here. So yeah,
For
of
sure,
course,
yeah.
you've definitely got to take it with a pinch of salt, right? I just worry that sometimes people get so desperate to find the right answer, which I see a lot in this industry, actually, people just clambering to find the solution that they can put their faith in a lot of things and then get frustrated.
Definitely. And do you remember that thing that was going around where it didn't know how many R's were in strawberry?
No.
I don't know if this is still a thing, but if you go to
Oh
ChatGPT
wow.
and ask it, it will swear blind there's two.
Oh
Sorry,
wow.
three. It will
Okay.
swear blind there's three. No, there's three. It'll swear blind there's two. I don't know it now. I got myself
There's
confused.
three. Yeah,
There's
I've just done
three.
it. Three.
And it will swear there's only two. It's so funny. So just remember that whenever you are
Yeah.
relying on it for a serious answer. And I also would say it's never planned a wedding. It's never been to a wedding.
Right. Right.
It's never worked at a wedding. So it will pretend like it knows, but it doesn't really know. And in
Yeah.
an industry like ours, I think it's so important to remember that it's based on people. You know, we
Mm.
can't give too much over from our own thinking. We can't outsource all of our thinking. Couples still want us for us.
Yeah. So true. But in the same breath, I don't know if you noticed, I'm getting inquiry forms filled
Oh,
out by ChatGPT.
no. It's wild, isn't it? It's wild
It
out
really
here.
is. Because we're just at the beginning, I suppose, really of it, aren't we? Where
Yeah.
it's a lot of teething issues, and
I
yeah,
think
there's
people have
so
almost
much.
not yet realised the trade-off that you get from it being quick and
Yeah,
easy. And it will, I'm
yeah.
sure it will come, you know, I'm sure people will swing back the other way again.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I'm just also thinking in terms of finding a bank of what people could be asking is, um, I suppose I'm going to say it again, TikTok, because TikTok it does work in that way. Search engine. If you pop
Mm-hmm.
in a search, it will suggest, oh, other people have also looked for, and then you get a
Yes,
bank of
yeah.
phrases. I'm just sadly on the side of TikTok. I have two accounts. One is nothing to do with weddings because it drives me. I'm sorry, weddings are boring. It drives me insane. You know,
You heard it here
24/7.
first.
24/7 wedding content. I can't deal. I need a shut off. So I do have two TikTok accounts. One is for me to just, have fun, find out where the best places are to eat in God knows where. And then I've got more of a weddingy one. And I'm on the wrong side of weddings on that one because all I see is just constant moaning about how expensive it is to have a wedding, and I just want to throttle people
Yeah.
because weddings are a luxury, full stop. You don't need one
Yes.
at all. And the thing is, the reason they're doing it is because it's incredible clickbait. It's great for engagement because all you get is 50 billion people going, you are so right, the wedding industry is a scam. And
Yeah.
then it can really leave you feeling quite deflated. And then, yeah, so I have to step away from that and remember there are people who do want to celebrate, who do want to have a wedding, who are searching out there and typing in, like you say, I've got this dress, or I've got this idea of a wedding. Where can I have a wedding like this?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can upload photos, can't you, into your search and go, I want a wedding
Absolutely.
that looks like this. Where can I have that in the UK? So
Absolutely.
there's that
Yeah.
going on.
And I think it kind of comes on to like the importance of your portfolio on your website, which is particularly important for photographers, videographers. And when you asked me earlier, what's something you see people getting wrong? This is another thing with the
Yeah.
portfolio. There's once upon a time, you could write a real wedding blog that was Gina and Catherine's wedding
Yeah.
at, and it was fine. And I really think now you have to think deeper than that. And people want to envision themselves in your work. They're not interested in anybody else's wedding. And I often I go onto a portfolio page and there's like 6 images I can click on and they just have people's names on.
Yes. Yeah.
Sam and Tom, Jane and
Yeah.
Jill. And I'm like, well, if I was a couple, how do I know which one to click on? Because how do I know which one I can see myself in? So that's another thing that I would say. If you want a quick win, do a little bit of updating on your portfolio to describe them a bit more and help people see
Oh,
what
I
they're going to
completely
find.
agree because It does my nut in when I see blogs titled that as well, like Katherine and Gina's wedding.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one gives a shit. I'm
Who's
sorry.
Katherine and Gina? Why do I
Yeah,
care?
exactly. Yeah. And also personal data. Stop naming the couple. You've just given away their faces and their names. Leave it alone. So, but being a little bit more descriptive. So I try and do all my blogs in, it's a black tie winter wedding at specific venue. So I'm hoping that also is more conversationalist, and that's what people are typing in, and it's going to get hits. But it obviously, you also understand that the hits will be fewer because it's specific when it comes to the search term.
And this is always a thing, isn't it, in the wedding industry? It's the quality quantity trade-off.
Yeah.
How many inquiries do you really need to fill up a wedding season?
100%, yeah.
It's not 500. So as long as you get fewer hits but the right hits, then you're good. You don't need to worry.
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember you wrote the pizza party blog on my. I'm sure you wrote it.
I remember.
Yeah, the Marylebone Town Hall, and it was Heist, and it was a pizza party thing. I had an exact inquiry come through, same venues, same thing, and because that's exactly where they saw themselves, that's what they wanted. So it does work. So yeah,
definitely, it takes some of the thinking out of things for people. They're like, oh, that looks great, that's what I want.
Yeah,
you've laid it all out for them, and they don't have to go around the houses, and you've shortened the distance to the sale with that blog. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've decided to pause their wedding planning till 2028, and they'll be back in touch. And I'm like, yeah, all right, bollocks.
Typical. Oh, we started so well.
And then we took a no. To be honest, the venue also backlinks to that blog, so it feeds each other. So it'll work. It'll do its thing anyway. But it's nice to know. And if we wanted to focus more locally, and back in the day it was you put your location in your page title. Does that still sort of work for ranking locally now? Because I feel like everyone's now doing the same things. We've been around the block now, and we're all sort of doing the same thing. So to rank more locally, what should we be doing? Or to be found more locally, rather?
Yeah. So location SEO is something that I could yap on about until the cows come home. So please stop me if you think that I'm
please do.
So rather than just doing, like you said, the location in the header or the footer or whatever you're going to do, Google My Business page is still an important thing to have to set your location, because people are, whether you believe it or not, people are searching for wedding photographers near me. And if all you're doing is optimizing, you're optimizing for a location, but not strongly enough to give Google those signals about exactly where you're physically based, it's not going to work.
Okay. So if I'm in Rutland, and I'm doing a lot to do London wedding photography, the two don't really marry up, right? So the signal's going to be weaker. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So what I would say is, if your Google My Business page has you in Rutland, and people are searching for near me, you're probably going to show up for Rutland. But that's not to say that you can't also show up for London. Right. It's just a slightly different strategy, is what I would say. So the most important thing is location signals in context. So I have a little analogy for this, and I always say what your website essentially needs to be is like the Thailand friend. And in my friend group, it's me, so I can speak on this. So you're that friend who went to Thailand once and never shuts up about it. And every time you see them, they're like, remember this time I was in Thailand, and shall we go out for Thai tonight? Or they're wearing their elephant pants or whatever it is. But what happens is everybody in your friend group associates you with that place. And if somebody else came to them and said, thinking about having a holiday to Thailand, they go, oh, you should speak to so-and-so. Your website needs to be that annoying friend and speak about that place in so many different ways that Google and AI think it's undeniable that you are associated with that place.
Right.
So I would do this through a little bit with your homepage. If it's very important that you're known for one location, for example, if you were a cake maker and you are based in London, you can only deliver in a 20-mile radius, whatever it might be. It's very important that you get the right inquiries for the right places. So in that situation, I would have a whole website page optimized for specifically for London cake artist or that
Right.
kind of general SEO topic. And then in your blog is where all the gold lives.
Okay.
And you need to come at that location from as many different angles and layers and perspectives as you can. So I'll stick on my cake artist example, just you might not have many cake artists listening, but just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
You want to be going into wedding cake flavors in London. You want to be going into wedding venues in London, but to do with the cakes, where to put your cake in this London wedding venue, or
Right.
and go in and in and in and in and in, always bringing it back to that location, but in as many different ways as you can. It's like the center sun and then all its little rays.
Yep.
And then Google gets the message, and it can't help but recommend you to people who are looking for that.
Right. Interesting. So that's really key for local. And then what about non-local? What about for someone like me who lives in a particular area, tries to market for another because like London for me, for example, because it was my home base, it is an easy location for me. Rightly or wrongly, I believe that is where some of the wealthier clients are found. That's where the wealthier weddings tend to be there. So I want to market for that. So what would you recommend for someone like me? And actually, for anyone who markets for non-local, because I do see plenty of photographers and videographers who are basically as far as worldwide.
Yeah.
When I don't know about others, but I know for myself, there are certain venues I can only see 5 times a year. If I do it any more times, I'm going to go absolutely insane.
Completely.
So I do want to push my radius out and be found places. So what would you recommend?
So I generally think there are kind of 3 categories of wedding suppliers in this location SEO world. So there's the one that I just mentioned who are like physically location bound.
Okay. Yeah.
There's another where you will work within like a range of locations. So maybe a few counties that are all close to each other. And then there's people who will work anywhere, but will you really work anywhere? There's always an aspiration, or I want to work in these places. And usually when people say I'll work anywhere in Europe, what they're really meaning is I would love to do a wedding in Italy, or I'd love to do a wedding in... It's usually something
Yes, you're
deeper.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that the approach is very similar.
Okay.
But rather than having it kind of front and center on your website as a page, I would just work it into the blog.
Okay.
And this is what I do with my clients. I do a dedicated blogging project that's just based on getting that association made with that place.
Okay.
Whether that's the south of France or whether that's Cheshire. And we do one location at a time. Because as you know, when you are too broad, you don't speak to anybody. And that's kind of an age-old thing that we've always said in the industry. And it's a bit too much for couples as well. They are not going to Google and searching wedding photographer anywhere. They have an idea about what they want. So you have to get granular, even if it doesn't mean that you're excluding yourself from other places, but you have to get granular to get found.
Okay, that's really handy. Actually, it's just making me think about some little tweaks that I need to make on my end as well. When it comes to those old SEO ranking tools, should we still be checking in on them? Like, how do you know your SEOs are actually working, or you're not just ranking for terms that nobody's searching? Where do we stand with that now, especially with AI having a play?
So what I would say the biggest measure of whether it's working or not is, one is, are people telling you they found you on Google? That would be obviously a really good indicator. Or you see an increase in better fit enquiries, after you've started doing the work. You think, well, it looks like people are finding me for the right things because of this work that I've done. That's like a common sense check. It's not just about more traffic, it's about better fit traffic.
Okay. Yeah.
But what I would say is, you can go onto these tools and you can check your ranking for certain keywords. What I would say is that information is not all that useful to you on its own. And it fluctuates. So one day you might be result number 1 for Rutland wedding photographer. The next day you might be 2 or 3, and you can really get hung up on that.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, that's as much of a vanity metric as your follower count on Instagram. Because so what does it tell us? Nothing. And someone can be number 1 on Google but not be the right fit. People are smart enough to think further than just the first thing that's in front of them.
Yeah.
But what I do think is very important, and what a lot of wedding suppliers don't do, is get comfy with their analytics, the website analytics, Google Search Console, Google Analytics. Those are the 3 that I would say you need to have a basic understanding of what's in there and what it's telling you if you really want to understand your SEO. Because Google Search Console literally tells you what people are typing in when you came up in search results.
Right, okay.
It's free. It takes 2 minutes to set up, and all the information you need is there. It tells people... Sorry, yeah.
No, I was going to say perfect, because so it's still a trustworthy place to look. Because I love analytics. I know some people out there will know that about me. But I'm also someone who checks the back end of my socials analytics. I'm constantly checking to see what works, what doesn't. Sometimes I'm like, 2 fingers up, it doesn't matter. This is what I want to post. I know it's, this is what I just want to do in terms of creative outlet. But I am checking the back end of my analytics, and I do check Google Analytics. I'm seeing which blog is bringing them forward. I think the Squarespace, for me, Squarespace Analytics is pretty good as well.
They are good, yep.
Yeah, and it also tells me if they're coming from directories. So that's nice to know which directories were working before me. So I think it's definitely worth getting your head round.
I think so. There's 2 ways to look at it, right? You post it on socials, you post it on your blog. If you think my inquiries are already amazing, I'm booked up this year and I'm not particularly stressed about, I need better inquiries, I need this, but you're posting on socials to stay active, to have good engagement, you're blogging to keep the consistency, then you can kind of just go off the vibes a little bit. That's not a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if you think I'm doing this for a particular reason, there's a goal, I need this to work for this reason, then you need to be able to understand how to tell if it's working. So it just depends on what the mindset around it is and what the reason for it is.
And can we use AI and copy and paste and go, excuse me, AI, what does all this mean at the back end of my Google Analytics?
Yes, you can. You can send it a screenshot and say, what does this mean? Just check that it doesn't sound like nonsense. Because it might. And I'm sometimes wary of giving AI access to things that only I should be able to see.
Do you know what? That's exactly what I think as well. What was there something recently? Was it Mel Robbins recently? I think it was earlier this week, said something about women are not using AI enough, and wrote out a prompt which would help women to use AI in gain a better understanding of their finances. And there was absolute uproar, because why are you giving AI actual personal financial information?
Yeah.
And
it's because it feels like you're just talking to somebody behind the screen, or we're just having a nice little conversation, and then I close the window and it's gone, or it's just there in my chat. This is a huge corporation that is using your data to keep training it. Nothing that you post in there stays between you and Chatty. It's just not how it works. So
I agree. I'm sorry. And I am one of those who really also throws my toys out of my pram again when I see people uploading images and creating ChatGPT images. And I'm like, you're giving it data freely. really.
You're complaining in one breath about how it's
Yes.
taking over this, that, and the other, but you're
Right.
feeding the fire in the next.
No, you can't pick a lane. It's too difficult. We can do what we can, but yes, I do understand that actually. Yeah, sending your analytics to pinch of salt, generalized bits and pieces. You probably could ask it to help you grasp it. But is there anywhere else you'd say to help learn or read your?
I mean,
analytics?
if you Google it, there is probably someone's probably written a really good blog
a tutorial.
on it.
Yeah.
And I probably will do that. I'm having a website refresh this August, so I'm going to have probably a bank of that. But to be honest, if somebody's listening and they're like, I just need 10 minutes to just whiz around, I will just help you with that, because it's not a big job. You know, I can literally just go, look at this is what it means. People like to make out like it's this big complicated thing, and it can be if you want to make it that, but it's as simple as, which numbers do I want to look at?
Right.
They go up, they go down. That's all.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
Don't overthink it.
Do you know the bit I really love is the behaviour flow? I love watching. I love seeing that. Yeah. Oh, they've dropped off the cliff. Okay. Sort that out, Gina. I do like it. And even it's I send a pricing brochure, and I do it via Canva, and I love looking at the analytics because you can look at it page by page. Oh, that's how many seconds they spent on that page of that pricing guide. It's so interesting. I just don't understand how people can not.
I know. You can just go down such a rabbit hole with it and start tweaking every tiny thing. Before you know it, you've lost a day in Google Analytics.
Absolutely. But it's just nice to keep on track of it every so often.
It is.
And see what's going on. What's one piece of SEO advice that you're seeing still being pushed that you think is actually really hurting us as wedding suppliers?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say just be consistent is one of my favorites. And it's kind of this just be consistent paired with this traditional keyword approach.
Right, okay.
And it's like trying to...
Just be consistently crap, you'll be fine.
Yes, exactly. just keep going. No. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work.
It's the same on social media. When people are like, just be consistent. What, consistently giving crap?
Just keep doing more of what doesn't work. Doesn't sound like a good plan.
Check your analytics, people.
Yeah. That should be the headline. Yeah. No, but I think the keyword approach of like, so for you might be thinking, I want to be ranking number 1 for Midlands wedding photographer, Rutland wedding photographer.
Okay.
If everything that you do centers around that, you're kind of setting yourself up for a fall. And I think there is too big of a focus on trying to rank for this one big keyword rather than trying to get found for lots of variations of other keywords. So people are not spreading themselves thin enough in terms of getting found.
Right.
That big juicy keyword is going to have high competition. There's going to be lots of people trying to rank for that same one.
Right.
And in this big wedding industry, however good your content is, there's always someone who is better. And you're going to really struggle to consistently be on top for that big juicy keyword. And this gets even worse when we start thinking about wedding photographer Italy.
Right.
It's just a sea of information.
Right.
So rather than going in for that one big juicy keyword, think about all those other little keywords and little ways that you can attack it from different angles and worry about getting found for them, and it will lead people through the pipeline. I think we need to kind of flip the approach.
Right, okay. So when we're breaking down that keyword and we've got the little ones branching out, should we be assigning those to blogs or across the website, like your about page, your service page, your portfolio page? What should we be doing with that? Okay.
A bit of both. I would say your homepage, it does need to be a more general keyword, to help understand. But this this is something that we've always said about keywords. Every page should be optimized for a different keyword.
Right.
You can't optimize every page for Rutland wedding photographer and
That's
think
right.
that
Yeah.
that means you're doubling down, because it's just confusing and actually doesn't help you.
You're
So,
competing against your own website, right?
Exactly
so
that.
the
Yeah.
pages. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be that you've done Rutland wedding photographer, and then on your services page, you've gone more granular with that. So it might be that you specialize in, you've got a small wedding package or a half day wedding package, and people are searching for that as well, wedding photography packages in
Right.
Rutland. So you can get more specific in that way. And then in your blog is where all those lovely things that we touched on earlier can live. Your perspective on things, the very, very specific questions, the FAQs, the information about your process or your viewpoint or the venues, all of those things can live in your blog.
That's really interesting, because back in the day, I'd say something like 2018, 2019, I did have keywords assigned, location based, assigned to my service pages. And over time, I took that away because I felt they were service pages. Did they really need to be SEO optimized? But now, the example you've just given, I can see the value in that. So on my pricing page, which is a service page, it'd be nice to even, maybe if I want to do more local weddings with a specific package, I could optimize it for that, because I do know of a venue locally that that's what they cater for. They cater for small, short weddings.
Yep. And you could optimize for that. You can mention that venue on that page. You can speak to that venue and find out if you can be put onto their website in relation to that. And you can also, and this is really important, the linking web throughout your website. So from that page, you want to be linking to anything else that's relevant in your blog and vice versa, so that the whole connection is built. It's about building this association again.
Okay. And internal links to each other is what's going to help that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Internal links more than you think.
Because it's the sitemap that's basically being scraped. Is that right?
Exactly. And Google's looking at your site structure and how everything ties together. So if you don't want to leave anything kind of hanging on its own, it always needs to be contextualized within the structure of your site.
Perfect. Oh, that's really good to know. So it's like the foundational aspects are still there, they're still valid, but things need to be now tweaked a little bit as we're moving forward and
I would say so.
Living in these newer times, perfect.
And in a way, it's got easier because it's a bit more intuitive and a bit more informal than it used to be.
Perfect. So if we go back to when I was saying about being found on social media, and so if someone does find you on Instagram and they love your work, and then they Google your business name, what do you think needs to show up for them to not bounce, to not go elsewhere, to actually go to the next step?
So what I would say is, if somebody's found you on Instagram, the initial thing they've thought is, I like this style, or I like this person's vibe, or something about them has got my attention. I want to know more about how they would fit into my wedding. So if they Google your business name, your homepage is probably going to show up in the results. So your homepage needs to be giving a really clear, sorry, can you hear that? Sorry.
Yes.
They've just started drilling on the road outside, so I'm very sorry about that.
That's fine. I just thought someone's blowing their nose. I'm just not going to ask who.
Workmen outside. Sorry.
Don't worry, it's fine.
Okay, so they come to your website. They need to instantly know, what's the basic information that I need? I need to know who they are, where they are, and who they're for, so that kind of information needs to be there. Your website's job then is to guide them through everything they might be thinking about to decide whether they want to book you or not. So I would be thinking they're probably going to have a little look, especially if it's a photographer, somebody they're going to have a close relationship with on the day, at your about page. They're probably going to have a little look there to get a feel for that. And they probably don't care what your iced coffee order is. They're probably more interested in your perspective on their wedding. They're going to look for pricing. They are going to look for pricing, whether they pay any attention to it or remember it or, anything like that, they're going to look for it. So there's mixed opinions on should you have pricing on your website. I think you 100% should, or at least a
Right.
ballpark starting from.
Yeah.
If I was looking for a photographer and I couldn't even see a starting from price, I would bounce immediately and go somewhere else.
Well, this is what 90% of TikTok is saying as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think pricing is a big one. And then I think they might not necessarily instinctively go to your blog, click it in the header.
Right.
So
Okay.
you need to guide them there from somewhere else on your website. It
Right.
might be
Okay.
like in the copy, you might say somewhere, see my favourite wedding venues in Rutland and my favourite secret photo corners. And then they're like, oh, that's interesting. I want to see that. And then suddenly they're on your blog and you've got them in the web and you can keep guiding them like that because they don't know they're on your blog. They don't know they need to be on your blog. As far as they're concerned, they're just hopping from stepping stone to stepping stone, which hopefully ends in your contact form.
Perfect. That's really good to know, because when I look at behavior flow and it's leads coming from a social media platform, I see the fall off coming from either pricing or the contact page. I don't see the journey to the blog because obviously I've not really guided them there.
Yeah.
Or I get the flip side where they've come via a blog and then read the blog and then venture via the CTAs in the blog to the next page. So there's another bit of tweaking I think I would like to do then to lead them to the blog page, because I feel that my blogs, that's where I'm sitting there hoping that these are the ones that are going to convert. They can see how I photograph things, how I talk about people, how I talk about how I was on the, all of that. When you say about you and how you work, I feel that juice is living in my blogs.
Yes.
But I'm not quite sure if those social media visitors are actually getting that far.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And it's like the two different ways that people come to your website. So either they've Googled something and your blog is what showed up and that's where they've landed first,
yeah,
which is almost a little bit of an easier funnel to have them in because they're
yeah,
already in the juice. But yeah, if they're coming from socials or they're coming from just Googling your business name and you know that all the good stuff is in the blog, it's your job to get them there once they land on the website. And it's almost like if the first thing they find is the pricing, it's like they want that information, but they also want to be warmed up a little
of
bit.
course. Yes.
So there needs to be somewhere else, something else for them to just make it all a bit comfier, is what I
Yeah.
think.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, because it's part of that buying into you, right? So you've got to get them to buy into you, because you don't want them to hit your price and go, "Oh shit, that's a lot," and then bugger off. Because
Yeah.
you do want that, but that's why they're that much. Because look how amazing Gina is.
She looks like she's worth it because I've found
Right.
all these lovely things about her. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right then. Yeah, okay, that's good to know as well. So if we could then just linger a bit more on blogs, what type of content do you think we should be creating for 2026 for SEO?
I have like a little list of like the blog types that I always suggest that
Yeah.
people write. So one would be local SEO blogs, so specifically to do with location. And if location is very important to you, I would do a lot of them. One would be real weddings or portfolio pieces, but told from a perspective that people will relate to, not just from a storytelling perspective.
Okay.
So
So they
like
can
what
see themselves in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think it's a really useful thing for people to think like, oh, well, they had a similar type of venue to me, or they had their catering the way that we want to have it, or that kind of thing, rather than just reading about somebody's day, as we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to work a bit harder to find out what is that angle,
Right.
and it's not always immediately obvious, but there's always something. And it might be that you thought, like your pizza party example, you thought, I really loved that they had a pizza party, and that is the thing that stands out about this wedding, and I think other people will love. That's kind of the frame that you look through to write the whole blog. It's like the lens that you approach it from.
You've just got me thinking, because I've got a specific venue blog, which obviously I'm trying to promote that I would like to have more weddings at this specific venue. But I've based the title on the flowers. But actually, if you think about the blog content, so for example, it's dried flowers, right? My blog content doesn't really answer it just shows there were dried flowers, but doesn't answer why you could have dried flowers, where you could have dried flowers here. So that actually, that's another tweak I could.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gold. So that's another little tweak I could have, right? So
your blog's going to be so good after this, Gina.
Oh, they're really good, yeah. Yeah.
But your blogs are already good.
Yeah, because you wrote them.
No, not all of them. But it really is testament that small tweaks can do a lot for you. And if you're short on time, just do updates. You don't need to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree.
Yeah, so those are two of the types. I would also write blogs about, it's what I call like creative options or inspiration. So this is a bit more straightforward if you're a florist, for example, because you can showcase like different types of wedding arch that you might design for a ceremony.
Right. Okay.
As a photographer, it might be something more like
don't have arches because they get in the way.
Yeah, it might be that. It might be that. It could be though. It could be like what kind of flowers photograph the best at your wedding ceremony.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good one actually, because I've had this discussion many a time with florist friends, in that when you have a teepee wedding, you've got to really think about the colour of your flowers, because it's everywhere is orange. So there's only a specific type of flower that's going to show up. So that's
And people don't know that they don't know that. So
no, exactly.
If you provide the information, they think, oh, she knows what she's doing, she's trustworthy, and I love her photography. That's 3 reasons to book her already just from one blog.
Right.
So that's that's a good one. There's location, there's real weddings, there's creative ideas, and then things about your process as well that you might not have room to go into in so much detail on other parts of your website. So you might have outlined your package or your pricing, and you might have said, I always include getting ready shots for both partners.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe we've done a blog like this for your website. You can go into more detail about why you should have getting ready shots, what you should think about for your getting ready shots, even something like my favorite rooms at different venues for your getting ready shots,
Oh, okay.
Really specific things like that.
That's a good one. Everyone's scribbling down.
Everyone's going to have the same ones.
Use different venues, people.
Yeah, please. And the other one I would say would be FAQs. And this can be things that people really do ask you, or things that you wish that they would ask you.
Right.
However, I do want to caveat and say, if you are thinking about writing what's the difference between a planner and a coordinator, please just scrap it, because everybody's got that blog. We don't need any more.
Oh God, I can see why that's a popular one. I haven't actually got that blog, but
don't do it, Gina.
I have so many thoughts about that as well. But yeah, oh no, that's really good to know. Thank you. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's my little.
And we should still be blogging in 2026.
100%, maybe even more so than ever. That's up for debate.
No. I can see that now, actually. And I do think that the way in which social media is now is, it's less about portfolio, and your blogs and social media content can all just link in really nicely together, one leading to the other. Read more about whatever.
Absolutely.
More so.
I really encourage that, when you've written a blog, that in the first few weeks, probably not much traffic for those blogs, because SEO takes some time, So in that first period, I would be posting it on your socials. I would be linking to the blog. Why do people want to read it, and get that ball rolling?
Right.
And it will feel slow in the beginning. You'll be looking, thinking, well, one person's seen this blog. What use is that? But once it takes off, and then you start to see it get faster and faster. I mean, I literally had this with a client 2 weeks ago. I checked her Google Analytics, and she had like 300 and something website visits in the previous 28 days. 2 weeks later, I'm getting a notification from Google. Congratulations, you got 400. And then 3 days later, 500. And it's just,
right,
snowballing.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, but it needs a bit of help in the first.
Just to get people get some eyes on it, to show people it exists. So then Google goes, oh, this page exists, and therefore
people like it, and people are reading
that's right.
it. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So then it gets the ball rolling, and Yeah, perfect. Oh man, this has been so helpful. There's been so much gold in
Oh,
this.
good.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is you know about being the annoying friend.
Yes.
I just love that because I feel, and I've seen it happen on social media, is that the people who are doing well, I say in inverted
Hmm.
commas, air quotes, are the people who keep banging the same effing drum
Yeah.
on the same effing song. And
Yeah.
because I live perpetually online, I'm like, oh, for God's sake, we get it, we get it. But they're not writing for me. And I totally
No,
understand that. I'm not going to moan about it because I know they're not writing for me. They're writing for the next person who happens to come along, and then they can see throughout their feed, this person has the same ethos, they talk about the same thing.
exactly.
And
And then
so
it feels real.
right, absolutely, right. So, and then transferring that to your website, the same sort of thing, bang that same drum. So, yeah, that's good
Yeah.
to know.
It's for the benefit of the algorithms, of course, but it's also for
Yeah,
the benefit of your couples. They have to see that you really mean what you say and you say it again, again, again in
yeah,
different ways. And then they're like, okay, yeah, seems legit.
yeah.
People are
I,
verifying more than ever.
definitely. I think the most challenging thing I find is the balance between being local and also casting my net quite wide. I think that's
Hmm.
always been the challenge for me, what I do. But um, it's one of those you keep going, keep going, keep going, and
Yeah.
keep
And, you know,
producing the content that in that specific area.
and it's worth remembering, you know, just because you are showing up for one specific place, that doesn't mean that people can't find you in other ways and for other
Yes,
things and
exactly.
through other routes. And you know, specializing and getting specific doesn't exclude you from all of the other things that you want to
Yeah.
do. It just helps hone in that part.
Yeah. No, so true. Are you
Yeah.
finding people have reduced blogging in more recent years?
Some people yes, and some people really no. I've got clients who are still very convinced of the value of it, and they are still wanting retainer. They're still wanting it on a monthly basis. Um, I just think there's a bit of a split between people who've never really been that into blogging are not starting, but people
Right.
who have always placed value in it are still doing it and still know that it works. And I think my job is to convince those people that have never been into it that it can feel a bit like old fashioned. And I
Mm,
think wedding blog has some slightly negative connotations in certain parts of the industry. There's a lot of pay to play happening with certain blogs.
yes.
And
Hmm.
I think people are put off by that for themselves as well, for their own website. It all feels a bit icky, maybe. So I think that's where the gap is of like, you don't have to pay to play your own content.
Yeah.
And instead of worrying about that, worry about what's on your own site.
No, that's great because I do wonder also if people are throwing money on ads more than
Mm,
writing organic content.
mm-hmm.
But also because of that, because let's say maybe they've done that for the past two years, what we're seeing now is a huge lack of trust. And that seems to be the key word at the moment, especially in the wedding industry, the lack of trust, because anyone can now, you throw on a style shoot, chuck all of that on an advert, boom, you're an official
Yeah,
wedding photographer. But on your website, if you've got a wealth of, look at how much I know and how much value I have, why wouldn't you pick me?
exactly.
Blogging's worth it.
And that's a really good advert for kind of full circle moment why you should still have a website, because things can look sorry but things can look great on social media, they can look great on Pinterest,
Yeah.
but people are smart and they are verifying more than ever. They're looking for you in different places. They want to know if they can trust you before they book, and your website is the best place still to prove that people can trust you.
Perfect. Do you know, I just totally forgot about mentioning Pinterest.
Mm.
Do you, is there value still in pinning? I'm seeing there's a load more ads on Pinterest now as well.
There is a lot more ads, and it's, I think people are kind of falling out of love with it for that reason. But I
Mm,
do have to say that Pinterest, when paired with blogging, it's still a really like a power couple. And if you are producing pins that are leading people to your blogs, to your websites,
Right.
you can really, really increase your website traffic and the right kind of traffic from it as well.
Okay.
And what I'm seeing works is, like, for example, you've written a blog about the best venues in a certain place, and you post a pin and it has a title, the best venues in, that people are like, want that information, and the only way to get that information is on your website.
Right.
Once they're there, the rest is up to you and the website to pull them through the booking pipeline.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Because I've noticed that the pins I'm making do have the headline and the title, so which hopefully will get them to click through, as opposed to just a random photo that they're just going to pin to a board as inspo. There's a difference. I want them to come to my website.
Exactly, and there's a big difference in the strategy there. And with those pins that you want people to your website, you do have to be a little bit more traditionally keywordy. It's not like telling a nice story for Instagram. You have to say what it is, otherwise it won't get found, especially with all these ads.
Yes, absolutely. And you're also competing with video content on there as well, aren't you? So.
Also, yeah. But that's a different podcast.
That's a whole different podcast. But that was amazing. Thank you so much. I won't take up too much more of your time. So thank you so much. If people want to, thank you. If people want to find you and work with you, learn more, where can they do that?
The best way to contact me at the moment would be through Instagram, which I know is ironic.
But that's only because your website's having a refresh, isn't it?
Exactly. So. It's kind of a holding page at the minute. The new website will be live August, September time, and it will be shiny and filled with blogs. So come back then.
Beautiful.
But for now, you can find me Sunshine SEO Studio on Instagram, or pop me an email if you just want to chat, Katherine at sunshineseostudio.com.
Excellente. And I shall put those links in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for all your gems. And I hope people pull their finger out and start doing some work. No, I'm joking.
Everybody get blogging.
I'm joking. Go back to do what you always do. No, I'm joking. No, do something.
What's always not worked?
Consistency is the key. Katherine, it's been an absolute joy to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been lovely to be here and nice to see you.
And you again, yes. Go and enjoy the sun some more.
I will. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
I'll speak soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.